Good afternoon or good day to everybody, all the viewers. This is Conversation for Two, and today's my guest, Mark, and I'm Raheem as well. So we're going to be starting off strong as usual. What is a pet peeve or a hot take that you feel strongly about?
You only want one?
Yeah,
Actually, is
yeah.
this
Let's
is this
go.
design related or is this life related?
This is more like life related.
Wow,
Yeah.
where to start? I'll tell you what, I'll stick with design related, which
Hmm.
may kind of lead to life related.
Hmm.
So, pet peeve design wise is I would have to say turnaround times from clients.
Okay.
They kind of it's usually like they rush you in the
Hmm.
beginning,
Hmm.
and then when you reach that point you're saying to them, well, we've reached this point, we're ready to go on to the next stage, and then they vanish, they ghost us. That
Yeah.
is that is a massive
It's
pet
like you
peeve.
had the first day, everything's going very
Yeah,
well, and then like all of a sudden now you try to follow up,
yeah.
nobody's there. Yeah.
No, it's just ghost town, like
Yeah.
tumbleweeds, everything, and then like 3 weeks later it's like, oh wait, I didn't see your email. You're
Yeah.
like, you saw my
Yeah.
email, like
Yeah.
stop it. Yeah, that's a pet peeve.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess in that way, it's kind of like it kind of interrupts your flow for work.
Correct,
Yeah.
because you're in that zone and
Hmm.
you're kind of expecting the turnaround to be quick, like maybe the same day or next day if
Hmm.
latest. But a couple weeks passes by and you hear nothing. That just throws everything out the
Yeah.
window. You're out of that headspace. You're not in that zone
Yeah.
anymore to really get things moving.
Yeah. And I guess also like when that becomes like a habit, like
Yeah.
it kind of interrupts other things, like say if it was something to get printed,
Yes,
you know.
exactly. So timelines are now thrown off and
Mhm.
everything now starts to fall back. It's kind of like a big domino effect. So
Yeah.
that then starts everything just dropping
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty valid pet peeve to have, to be
Yeah.
quite honest. Yeah. Oh boy. Well, I guess in life we're designers, and that's something that we deal with constantly. Like not necessarily with every single client, but that especially when it's freelance space. And I think this could apply to other like small businesses as well. Is
Mhm.
like when there's not a professionalism, I think, with the communication and as you said, turnaround times like
Mhm.
that. Not just infuriating, but I guess that it really makes you kind of like, okay, you're not a client that I can work with because or like it may just sours the whole client designer
Relationship,
relationship.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because usually it's not that you don't want to work with a client. You've taken them on
Hmm.
and you see a vision. So you're now trying to make that happen with
Hmm.
the time frame that you have. And this
Hmm.
would happen like especially if you have another client behind them. So
Hmm.
you're now trying to do the juggling act.
Yeah.
So from that one domino falling, everything else now
Yeah.
has to start
Put
being
it in place. Yeah.
pushed back over and over again.
Yeah.
Doesn't really help the
Yeah.
process.
So like given that you've encountered situations like this, how have you like gone about trying to solve it?
Well, it sounds bad, but I usually try to prompt the client.
Hmm.
So I kind of, in the beginning, I try to, what do I say? I try to make sure they understand the process, my
Hmm.
process. Every designer has their own process. So by telling them what my process really is,
Hmm.
it should give them an idea of how I do things and how turnaround times work with me.
Hmm.
So I usually try to make that a part of the conversation that I'm having with the
Hmm.
client initially so that they understand that. However, if it doesn't go that way, then a gentle nudge by email or
Yeah.
four,
Yeah.
you know, then
Yeah.
it kind of would then get them to be like, oh yeah, yeah, sorry. I
Hmm.
was I was trying to do this or trying to do that.
Yeah.
If you're having issues with the email way, I would then say pick up the phone. You should do that backwards, but I find for me, email usually prompts better for some clients
mm,
than a call, because I know there's some clients who are constantly on the road,
mm,
moving around. Trying to reach them on the phone may not be the best avenue to get them. So
mm.
an email, usually they would be able to look at it at some point in time during the course of the day, and then that would prompt you like, oh yeah, I need to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
back to you.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good. I think that's a very good best practice you could have.
Mm-hmm.
Something you can learn when it comes to any kind of client relationship,
Mm-hmm.
service, job, if anything.
Yeah, keep in contact. I think keeping in contact is paramount, especially for what we do.
Hmm.
Um, try not to stray too far from when you started the project until the end. You try to always keep that close communication and say, hey, look,
Hmm.
I've reached this point. What do you think? And if you're the type of designer who puts forward a lot of you put things together for the client in like bite-sized pieces,
Hmm.
and it also gives them the opportunity to be a part of that
Yeah,
process,
part
so
of
they
it.
don't feel like, yeah, I gave Mark a project,
Hmm.
and 3 months later Mark has now given me a final product,
And
and
I have no
and I
idea. I've
have
had
no
no
idea,
input. Yeah.
right? I have no idea what happened in between there. I don't do that. I usually try to, when I reach certain milestones, I would then say to the client, hey, this is as far as I've reached. What are your thoughts? Are we still going in
Hmm.
the right direction? Is this you see, you have that back and forth with them so that they understand, hey, look, yeah, okay, I'm a part of the process still. I just didn't just hand something off and then the person disappeared, and then they reappeared with this, hey, look, this is pretty, you
Hmm.
should take this and pay me for it, you know so once they're a part of the process, and once you get to the finishing line, hardly ever should the client be saying to you, yeah, I don't like this,
Yeah.
because they would have been playing the entire
Hmm.
role up until the
Yeah.
end of the process. So it shouldn't be no surprise to them
Hmm.
once they get the final receivables. Then they'd be like, yeah, this is exactly from the beginning to the end. This is exactly it. Perfect.
Yeah. So I think I can agree with that. Something that we could all learn from. So then moving on now, this is where you get to a more personal section.
Mm-hmm.
What is what is a favorite memory you have from growing up?
Favorite memory, favorite memories. Uh, I would have to say getting into mischief, and yeah, let's just say getting into mischief. When I was younger, we didn't have tracking devices, your phones, and
Yeah, yeah.
none of that stuff existed. So you can get to look back at it now as you're older and laugh at the
Hmm.
mischief. What you didn't like was when my grandmother caught on. She was smart, so she knew we were up to mischief, and
Yeah, yeah.
she'd get us. She'd get us. But it's a fun memory now because you can look back on it and laugh.
Hmm.
Uh, then not so much, because
Yeah, yeah. You know Licks was
you
coming. You
know
know
Lex
Licks was
was
coming.
coming,
Yeah.
right? So so yeah, I would have to say that was it. The mischief you get up
Yeah.
to as a youngster, it was absolute fun.
Yeah. And I think like I won't say like kids nowadays are missing that. I don't know what kids nowadays are missing, but like being plugged out to the online world and like just like finding things to do, like like going on like some little adventure with your friends for the neighborhood, maybe going in a gap that you really shouldn't be going in,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
picking some mangoes off a tree that don't belong to you, like
Yeah,
little things like that, like kind of build up like a social character and
yeah.
social experiences.
Well, I will say I think kids today are kind of disadvantaged, but
Hmm.
they still have an advantage. The digital world that they're in right now has a lot of benefits to it.
Hmm.
However, the not having the discipline to disconnect from that
Hmm.
and go outside and experience what
You
is
know what's going
outside,
on, yeah.
especially for children who it's just them.
Mm.
Their parents just had them. That's it. Their cousins don't live in the same area or don't even live in the same parish for that matter. So you can't say that, oh yeah, your cousin next door, go.
Yeah, go hang out with him or
Like for
something.
me, when I was younger, my cousin and I grew up in the same household, and we were always up to something,
Yeah, some sort of mischief.
something. And then
Hmm.
my other cousins, they would come down by my grandmother, and they would spend like days there. So it
Hmm.
was usually like a group of us, just getting into any and everything that you shouldn't be into.
Yeah.
Like I remember one time, we had a mango tree. Mangoes were right there. I could pick those whenever I wanted. But why? I want to try mangoes from somewhere else. So you on your way home from school or something, you see a random mango tree, and
Yeah.
and you just decide, I want mangoes
Yeah,
from
because
this.
it tastes better when it's from somebody else.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
you get up to some level of mischief, and usually it never ended well because it ended well because sometimes you get away, but when you're being chased by like two or three very large
Oh
dogs,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
ah,
Nah, boy.
yeah, but it lends part to being a kid.
Hmm.
I mean, you always hope that when your children leave home, they come back home in the same way they left, all 10 fingers and toes
Yeah.
attached. But, there's a level of liberation and a level of being able to experience what is out there without getting harmed or causing harm to
Hmm.
someone else.
Hmm.
It's just,
Like lighthearted mischief, lighthearted
yes,
play. Like
you just get away with
yeah, like you break a little bit of the rules and just to see
just
what
to
like
laugh.
just for a laugh,
Just for
right? Not
laugh.
necessary thing. Yeah. But yeah. So I mean, I kind of had similar experiences, but I can imagine it was very different for you guys back then. Yeah. So, but now moving on to the last section. What's a lesson you've learned over the years that you would like to share with other people?
This is actually gonna go okay. um, I would have to say this is probably a controversial and a hot one. Uh, okay. What was it that I said?
Hmm.
I'm trying to remember the words for it. When you meet someone, expect that they're stupid, and this sounds bad. Hey, I know it sounds bad. I know it sounds bad,
I'm gonna let
but
you. I'm gonna let you work. I'm gonna let
there's
you
a
work.
reason for
Hmm.
this. And as I've said, uh, if you go into meeting people expecting that they have a level of intelligence, you're going to be disappointed because there are some people out there, right, who they don't have it, right.
Right.
But if you go into it with the expectation that this person is, you know, and then you realize that they're not, then usually that's when you get like, okay, cool,
Hmm.
you know. But I find the opposite is a lot more of a letdown. You expect some people to have this level of intellect about them when you have a conversation with them, and sometimes it just goes
Hmm.
completely the opposite direction, and you
Hmm.
walk away from it. It's like meeting your hero,
Yeah.
right? You go up to them, you expect this person to be like, everything. But people are people, and we all
Hmm.
have our
Yeah.
flaws. I'm not going to
Uh,
discount
uh,
that,
yeah.
but at the end of the day, you meet your hero, you have a conversation with them, and you walk away feeling unfulfilled
Hmm.
because you kind of had this expectation of something more.
Yeah.
This person would have these things put
Yeah.
together, and if you go into it and you realize that that's not the case, you walk away with this massive disappointment,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not saying you shouldn't talk to your heroes. I'm just saying how you approach the situation. Don't have that high expectation for it.
Hmm.
That's basically what I'm
Hmm.
trying to say. The breakdown sounds rough.
Yeah.
Now that I
Just
listen
like we
to
started
it
off with, don't
again.
expect people to be smart.
It sounds rough in the
Yeah.
beginning, but that's really what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say. Try to keep the expectation for it as minimum, so that if it isn't, you're not like this underwhelming feeling of this didn't
Yeah.
exactly
Like play out that whole
reach
yeah.
where I thought it would be.
And I think there's a level of empathy you kind of have to extend to that where like not everybody thinks about the things that you think about and you don't think about the things that everybody
That is
else will think
correct.
about. So like some people, yeah, they might not necessarily have certain things in mind. Like, you would think that because somebody's smart, they're smart in every particular area. It's like,
Mhm.
that's not necessarily like, true, because smart doesn't mean wise, and or smart doesn't mean knowledgeable or something
Correct.
like that. But I think in that, I guess what you could take away from what you just said is that, like, go in with an expectation that maybe they won't understand what you think,
Mhm.
and to take away, like, I guess, like the emotional reaction when you have to such a
Yeah.
situation.
Bring it down a bit, and once you head into it with that expectation lowered,
Hmm.
then you're more likely to leave the experience a little bit better
Hmm.
because then there was no expectation to meet. And
Hmm.
therefore, once you are finished with that interaction, if it's a person you're
Hmm.
chatting with, then you may be pleasantly surprised to realize that, you know what, that went a lot better than
You had imagined,
than
right?
I ever imagined it would be, and you have a better outlook on it
Yeah.
from that standpoint. But if you go into it with all the expectations that this person is gonna basically be, you know, this new
So yeah,
messiah upon
yeah.
the ground, and you go in there, it's like yes, and then you walk away going, what just
Yeah.
happened?
It was like, this is not who I thought this person
Correct.
would.
It,
Yeah.
it, it turns into an absolute car wreck,
Hmm.
right? So you're trying your best to not do that. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, I think that's a I think that's a good note to end on. I think that's a great note to end on, right? But yeah, thanks for being on the show.
That's not a problem.
Guys, you can check out Mark. He's a graphic designer. He works with me. His site is Mark on Mars, I think,
Yeah,
.com. Right, Mark on Mars. There'll be a link in the description. And what's your IG? I can't remember what your IG was.
that's a good question. I never remember that
I'll
either.
find it and I'll put it in the description as well.
That's a
So
good question.
yeah, if and anybody that wishes to be on the series moving forward, you can always contact me through my Instagram or my TikTok or whatever, or my email. And honestly, please do have a good day. And I hope this video was as helpful for you as it was for me. So,
He didn't give me the hot wings. You were supposed to have hot wings.
huh?